and welcome to Story X Story, the podcast by mayamada that dives deep into stories across pop culture, plus gives you advice on creating your own. It's episode 233, and I am your co-host, Nigel.
I am Tazziii, content creator and co-host.
And as always, we're bringing you interesting discussions with diverse voices. And to help us out today as we figure out the mysteries of space and Pixar storytelling, maybe, is mayamada illustrator Pinali. Pinali, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Nice to be back.
Good to have you. You were last with us on another Pixar outing. Have we just got you for all the Pixar shows?
I do like my Pixar.
Okay, I feel like we kind of typecast people a little bit, just get you back for the same thing. If it works, it works. But yeah, if you ever want to, I don't. We don't really do horrors in this. But anyway, just give us a shout if anything else. But you were last with us for Inside Out 2. That was episode 185 of the podcast. Also with us is another person with a mayamada link, mayamada co-founder, the other co-founder, Lao K. Lao, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. One way or another, you always seem to bring me back Godfather style, and here I am again.
Cool, I like that. Yeah, and Lao was last with us for episode 200, actually, the deep dive on Blue Giants. That was I guess it was quite a while ago.
It was a long time ago. I loved that film and the soundtrack, I must say. That
was a really good film. Yeah, people go and listen to that episode. Yeah, we'll put links in the show notes. So listeners, you can subscribe to Story X Story wherever you get your podcast from. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're also now putting episodes on our YouTube channel. You can also send us your feedback and questions in several ways. You can chat with us in our Discord, the Studio 77 Discord. Check the show notes or go to mayamada.com. You can email us studio77@mayamada.com, or you can throw your thoughts at us on social media. We are at mayamada on Twitter, at mayamada TV on Instagram and TikTok, and at mayamada.com on Blue Sky, or at Life of a W Gamer on Instagram and TikTok, and at Tazziii on everything else. And as I mentioned, you can go to mayamada.com to check out our latest manga, Origins Against All Odds, as well as discover the mayamada brand in its not quite entirety. There's going to be a new website next year, but a lot of what we do and why we do it is up there. So check that out if you haven't already. Before we get into today's story discussions, let's update you with the latest from the mayamada universe. We are looking towards the end of another year. Only like 4 or 5 weeks left of 2025, which is a scary thing to say out loud. We do have some activities you can get involved with, and they involve our Do I Look Like a Gamer video game representation campaign, which is all about promoting inclusion and diversity in the games industry and wider culture. So we have done a bunch of things. We've still got a couple of events coming up. If you're very quick, you can join us for our Friends and Family Game Design Jam on Saturday, the 29th of November. We'll be at Square Enix London for an event where you can come and create your own tabletop game and learn about the fundamentals of game design and get feedback from games professionals and compete for prizes. We're going to be giving out some stuff as well. So it's an event designed for all ages and experience levels. It's all about promoting creativity and teamwork. And like I said, learning about game design. So it is I was going to say it's a tight space. It's not a tight space. It's actually quite a roomy space. But laws of physics do dictate that there is only limited space. So you can RSVP if tickets are still available. And then we have another event to wrap up the year, which is our Next One Up live stream. It's our end of year summit, bringing together industry professionals and emerging talent from around the world to discuss the future of gaming as they see it. So the live stream will feature interviews, roundtable discussions, some indie game showcases. It's all happening from 1 p.m. GMT. We'll be on our Twitch and YouTube. And stay tuned for news on how you can get involved in the 2026 campaign. So you've got that to look forward to as well. You can also stay tuned to our Twitch because we have our regular Studio 77 activities. So this is our digital platform and community where we host different shows with creative professionals and play games for your amusement. So each month we've got different shows like the Studio 77 report, which is now in a new format. Me and Tazziii recapping what's going on in mayamada land, as well as talking about the creative journey and inviting you to join us in that discussion. We've got casual conversations with comic creators, where each month I speak to a different comic creator about the journey, about the craft of making comics, and we've got games night as well. So just come watch us play games, sometimes well, sometimes badly. So yeah, make sure you're following us on Twitch and our YouTube to catch those when we go live. And if you're a young aspiring creative professional or you know one, then check out the mayamada Showrunners Work Experience program. So we are creating opportunities for young people aged 16 and up to work with our team across comic production, events, and content creation. We've got a few people. Actually, one should have reached out to you, Pinali. I don't know if they did that. If not, I'm going to nudge them this week. But yeah, you haven't got any messages from any of
No,
our
I did
colleagues?
not yet.
Okay, all right, let me do some nudging. There you go. That's how we do it. So I'm going to nudge him on Wednesday to do that. But yeah, if you would like to be nudged by me to do the thing that I asked you to do last week, email us, showrunners@mayamada.com, to find out more. So now we're all caught up with the mayamada universe. Let's talk about some of the stories that we've been enjoying this week.
So this is where we have a spoiler-free discussion about what stories people have been reading, watching, or playing, and we'll start with our guests. So Pinali, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. This past weekend, I just did a marathon of all the Predator franchise because there's a new movie out. I wanted to go see it, so I thought I'll just watch all of them and, and see so I can compare all of them. And that was an interesting journey, honestly. So I had a lot of fun doing that. It was like all across the board, like really good ones, really bad ones. I love when there's just a huge spread like that. And you can also like see as time progresses within the releases, how things change, like how the tone of things changes, how the themes change. So that was interesting. I've also been watching Hazbin Hotel. The second season came out recently. Had a lot of fun with that. I'm really into my it's a bit of like a guilty pleasure. Like I like my Broadway songs type stuff. So I had a lot of fun with that. And I also watched Del Toro's Frankenstein film recently, which came out a few weeks ago, I think. And that was a lot of fun. Really beautiful visuals.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get on the Hazbin Hotel because I've heard good things and I've seen just like little clips and I'm like, I feel like I really enjoy this. I need to just like watch it.
It's definitely not for everyone, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's definitely for me.
Yeah. And nicely timed. Lau, do you want to tell us about what you've been reading, watching, or playing?
Yeah, what have I been playing? So it just so happens it's been a very busy season, but this weekend I managed to carve out a couple of hours, I'd say about 4, to play Sifu, a game that I just haven't been able to complete.
Yeah, I need to get back to that.
Yeah, but it's got a really good game mechanic and loop. So, it allows me to progressively unlock different kung fu skills. But yeah, it's tough enough that you can basically be playing between the first 3, which is pretty much what I've been doing for the longest time. And I'd go back to like the first level to see if I can beat it better, if I can unlock other moves, so that I can actually kind of do better in the 3rd level, where it does in fact get quite tough. um, so yeah, it's one of those games where you can kind of get into a bit of a grind mode, but it's a nice grind, if that makes sense, because you're unlocking things and like you're learning like new ways to deal with certain enemies. So Sifu, that's been my main game at the moment. I've also been playing a little bit of, is it Get Packed? I think it's Get Packed. Basically, it's the moving game. By team, I think it's by Team 17.
17, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's Get Packed. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong,
I think you are wrong.
Moving out. Yeah, because there's another game that is literally the same game, and I'm pretty sure the name of that game is Get Packed. So I always confuse the two. But I played both. They're both fun. But anyway, Moving Out, you're right. So I was playing that yesterday as well. And that was sort of my kind of warm down game after playing hours of Sifu because it is quite violent. So I thought, let me just help a few people move out of their apartments and things like this. And yeah, so those are the games I've been playing, and they've been really cool. I've also, I think this year, I've just been trying to finish stuff, basically. So I started Vinland Saga, a really cool historical anime, about a year ago, and I just never finished it. I had about 4 episodes left. I thought, okay, let's just do it. And interesting thing about Vinland Saga, I mean, if you go online, like there are people that swear that this is literally the best show like ever. Or I don't know if
It's
it's
very
ever,
good.
but they rate it incredibly highly. So just to say, I just kind of stumbled across the show. I didn't come to it through any sort of recommendation or anything. It was on Amazon Prime. I was like, oh, this looks kind of interesting. Let's give it a go. And I've just been watching it like over the course of many months while I'm eating. So very slowly, basically. And I would say, having finished it, and this is no spoilers at all, it's a fair assessment, I suppose. It's a fair label. It's fair. But I did enjoy it. I would say that, was this the best anime I have ever seen? I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I would say it was a lot more serious and thought-provoking, let's say. And it's funny because I wouldn't necessarily say it was something that I found particularly entertaining, if that makes sense, in the sense
I
of
get that.
like,
It's not necessarily fun.
yeah, do you know what I mean? It wasn't really that, but it did hold my attention. I did want to know where the story was going, what was going to happen to the characters. I did care about the characters, so I think they did a good job in that respect. Because obviously, if I didn't care, then really there's not much else for me. But yeah, so Vinland Saga. I need to check out season 2 now, but that's on Netflix.
Oh,
And yeah,
you've only seen the first season.
only season 1.
Oh, okay. Then I definitely know what you're talking about, and I'll be interested to know what you think about season 2. So yeah, because I've already said it on a bit of it on the podcast, but I'll leave you to deal with that.
Okay, cool. And that's me done.
Nice. Okay, I guess we're on to me. So I've been listening to the audiobook for Howl's Moving Castle. And this has been like on my list of like reads for a while, but I'm canceling my Spotify, and I was like, let me get one last book in there before I switch. And so I chose Howl's Moving Castle because why not? And I'm really enjoying like the book because Howl's Moving Castle is one of my absolute all-time faves in terms of movies. And I had seen a post recently that was like from the author talking about that like Howl's character was never meant to be likable, and this is based on the books. And I was just like, what is Howl like in the books then? Because there's nothing unlikable about Howl in the film. Like he's very, very likable. Like he's just slightly flawed. So yeah, I'm about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it. I will say that Howl's Moving Castle, the film, is such a good like reimagining of Howl's Moving Castle. And the book is so different, but the characters are like so very the same, if that makes sense. Apart from Howl is more flawed in the book. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the book. It is like a somewhat different story, and it's just very interesting as someone who like knows the film like back to front to then go back and read the book. And I like in my head I'm like, what would my impression of the film have been if I had read the book first? But yeah, the book's really good. I'm really excited to see how it ends. I guess I know how it ends, but how we get there, how we get to the ending from where I am. Yeah, and Council is still my favorite character. So that's good. I've also been watching. Well, I actually like just watched both seasons of The Flight Attendant, which is a HBO show, but I've been watching it on the ITVX. And oh my god, it is so good. It's the actress that plays Penny in Big Bang Theory. Oh my god, I've forgotten her name. Oh my god, it's so good. I love the style of it, and it's basically about this like alcoholic flight attendant that somehow always winds up in these like wild situations. And like the whole premise is like that it's always like around murders, right? So, but yeah, it's just she finds herself like wildly connected to these murders, and it is so good because at the same time you're like unraveling her like mental state, and she's had like been through a lot of trauma prior to getting wrapped up on all these in all these murders. And so it's like following her journey, but like you're constantly like in her mind and going on like these points where she gets like into like her what's going on in her head and like her conversations with herself type thing. And so it just makes it really really interesting in how they like jump to different scenes, but like from the perspective of how she's got there. So if she has a lapse in memory, you don't see that bit until like it's unraveled, if that makes sense. It is really good. Like I'm really impressed with, like, I've been so into it. It's one of those ones you get to the end of the episode and you're like, what? I need to watch the next episode because I need to find out what happened. And then the other TV show that I've been watching is a Disney Plus one, which is High Potential, which is another like, oh my God, I need to find the answers. It's about someone who has some kind of neurodiversity. Um, and they see, like, so she sees like all the pieces of like a puzzle type thing and has to fix it. Like, whenever she sees something, she has to. I don't know if it's OCD because I don't know. But yeah, so she sees a problem and she absolutely has to fix it. But to the point where it's caused like a lot of trouble in her life because it is like so serious. And she acts like, the whole premise is that she accidentally like solves part of a crime during her cleaning job. And then it kind of turns into like an investigatory kind of show. A bit like I was watching Castle before, where like comes on as a consultant and then helps to solve all these crimes. It's really good. I think it's the actress from that comedy where they're all terrible people.
Oh, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same lady from that. So it's cool as well seeing
Oh,
her
I know
in
which one.
like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So it's cool seeing her in like, because I think that's the only role I've seen her in, is always she just plays this like awful human being. So it's nice to see her in a different role. But yeah, that's another one that's like you just want to know the answers and just keep like and like I love trying to guess like the crime. So that's kind of this, you're like trying to piece the clues together as well. Yeah, so that's my stories. Nigel, what about you? After you kind of missed them last week.
Yeah. So podcasting notes. So people who watched the last story-based episode we did lost a chunk of that to time or never be heard of again. But it did mean I'm going to repeat some of the things I said then, but you've never heard them before. So I'll do two quick ones that I've just started, and then I'll go back to the two that I've finished and talk about those. So one is as a book. I am working on getting back into this habit of reading fiction and particularly fantasy as well, because when I was younger I read a lot of fantasy fiction. Funny enough, not Lord of the Rings. Tried, never came back to until they made it moving pictures. But so I started reading Gardens of the Moon, which is what's called like high fantasy, so like high concept, by Stephen Erickson, and it's the first in what I'm told is 10 novels in the series
Oh
of
my god,
the, yeah, I know,
that's a lot.
Malazan Book of the Fallen. So there's a whole series gone. Who knows how long it will take me to get through those, but yeah, here I'm started. So I'm literally just starting, but it's cool. So I'm at the stage of world building. So being introduced to the main characters. There's some like magic going on. There's usually some kind of warrior in there. I'm liking the characters. I've immediate attachment to the characters, if not likability yet, just attachment to what they're going through and why they're doing what they're doing. So I'm very early. I don't think I've passed 100 pages yet. So just learning who everyone is. So I'll come back to that one and probably for the rest of my life as I work through these 10 books. I've also just started watching a series on Disney Plus called 1,000 Blows that came out earlier this year in February. I know that because Disney advertised the hell out of this show. But it didn't get me at the time for some reason. I built up immunity. But I was recently on a panel with an editor from the show, and they were talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, there you go. So word of mouth. After all that money I'm sure Disney spent on advertising, it came down to word of mouth. But started watching this. It's a British series by Stephen Knight of Peaky Blinders fame, which is one of my favorite series. So this is a crime crime series, and as we know, I do enjoy a good crime syndicate drama. So this one is about an all-female crime syndicate, and it's also based on it's one of those like inspired by real events. So all-female crime syndicate called 40 Elephants, and it's led by a great character, Mary, who's acted by Erin Doherty, who I was not familiar with, but I love watching her and the way she carries herself in this world. It also has Stephen Graham, who's just fantastic. Yeah, he's just fantastic. Also in Peaky Blinders for a time. So yeah, watching that, a couple episodes in. It's only 6 episodes in the series, but there is another series coming, and I'm sure Disney Plus will make me very aware of that one. But enjoying that. I have finished Invincible. I really enjoy the show. I think it's it's really good. It's really, I think I've said this before. It's so mature, but not in a violent. I mean, it is it's actually very violent, but mature in terms of the themes and the way it carries them out. It's about a young kid, Mark. In season 1, he sort of reaches the age where he gains his superpowers, and it's about the family drama as well as the superhero drama and conflict in that. And season 2 to 3 just ratcheted up the conflict. No spoilers, but I really enjoyed season 3. But I feel if I was gonna knock it down for something, I was thinking that it might come across as a bit unfocused, because there was no real driving through line, really, other than kind of threads that have been set up from the previous season, until you get to the last 2 episodes. And wow, I don't know how you felt now, but I was like, I'm actually tense. Like I'm worried for these characters.
That is
Emotionally
the
invested.
praise.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I'm watching this. I'm like, why am I getting tense? This is a cartoon. I'm fearing for these characters, and the way they delivered, particularly those last 2, that just whatever lack of focus, they snap back into focus in the highest of stakes. So yeah, I really feel that's a really good. And also, this is a stacked cast. It has everyone, like everyone's someone in this, and not in a distracting way. I don't know how they've managed that. It's not like, oh, that's that person from that. Yeah, it's really good. I'm really impressed. It's like you might at a distance, it might look like the cartoon version of The Boys, but The Boys, which I also do enjoy, is juvenile. Like this is serious. The themes are serious, and even the way it deals with like relationships, just it is very mature. So very impressed with that one. Looking forward to next season, and I'm gonna have to start reading the comic as well because very impressed. And last one I'll mention is a new series called The Paper, which is a spin-off slash continuation of The Office, which and this is where I'm going to try and remember whatever I said last episode. But yeah, for me, The Office is fantastic. Just piece of like sitcom, and the best example of that. What do you call mockumentary thing? Maybe not my favorite, because I think Parks and Rec is my favorite, but I think it's so good. So this is a same team created by Greg Daniels, who created The Office. But the idea is the camera crew that films the company in The Office find another company to film, and then there's one kind of crossover there, but it's about this newspaper, and this struggling newspaper. This new editor comes in, he's going to change things up, and he's dealing with a dysfunctional crew. And the reason in particular I brought it up for the last one, which is now kind of a moot point, but for before we discuss The Last of Us season 2, is that as I was watching it, I was seeing, I think after the first episode, I saw some notes about, or some discussion about it online, and people saying, it's not as good as The Office, is failure. And then for a moment, it sort of colored my perception of it. And then I snapped out of that. It's like, no, this is really good. And it's even, I would say it's as a first season, it's better than The Office's first season was. After season 1, The Office kind of made some tweaks to the main character, like to Michael Scott, and then that just really improved it and took off from there. But yeah, no, this is a better start than that was. So I enjoy the characters. Similar to The Office, there's a romantic relationship, and that sort of carries it through. So I imagine that's going to be the same going forward. And just a reminder that don't listen to people online, basically. Form your own opinion, and also maybe separate things. So this doesn't have to be compared to the previous thing. And that was the point that I was making before we spoke about Last of Us, where I then undermined the very point I was making. So that's the full circle moment on the paper, which I really enjoyed, and very much looking forward to more episodes. I think it's one of those where the actors need to sort of feel and discover the characters, and then so I imagine it will get better as they become more comfortable in those characters. So that is what I've been enjoying. I've now restored the timeline. Let's continue to our main story discussion. Today, we are going to talk about Elio, the 2025 animated sci-fi adventure produced by Pixar Animation Studios for Walt Disney Pictures, directed by Madeline Sharafian, Domi Shi, and Adrian Molina, and written by Julia Cho, Mark Hamill, and Mike Jones. The film stars voices of Jonas Cabriab, Zoe Saldana, Remy Edgerly, Dylan Gilmer, Matthias Schweighofer, Brandon Moon, Brad Garrett, and Jamelia Jamil. So, spoiler alert, we are now in the spoiler section. We're going to talk about all details of the film. I will do a recap of the story, but before that, let's get everyone's quick takes and general impressions. I'll start with Pinali. What did you think about this story?
I think for the first time that I've spoken about anything on this show, I feel like I have really mixed feelings about this one. Like, there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, and then other parts of it that just had me like a little confused. So it's a mixed bag, basically, and I'm very interested to like get more into that and where those feelings might come from.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Lao, what are your thoughts on this? I think the latest Pixar outing.
I came away feeling like, and sorry, just as a background, I haven't seen a Pixar film in many years. I can't even remember the last Pixar film I watched. So, keep that at the back of your mind. I came away feeling like, this feels more like the sort of film that maybe like my nephew would enjoy, and I probably wouldn't really want to watch. And for me, I just felt like, normally with a Pixar film, I should somehow still enjoy it regardless. And I just didn't get that same feeling with this. But I did think it was a nice film, and I would still take a kid to watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, Tazziii, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think it was like so fun and sweet. It definitely wasn't like existential crisis levels of Pixar.
That's the bar, right?
Yeah. But I still think it was like a good, fun, wholesome film. It was very cute. I loved the whole like friendship thing that was going on there.
Nice, cool. Tazzi's got the positivity, which is good. hold on to that. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the mixed bag. I was actually quite disappointed. Actually, I surprised myself as I was watching it, and we'll get into why. But like Pinali sort of makes some things that were cool, and then like Lao, I felt that it's very much a kids film, but then that can be said in a dismissive way, and then I don't want to do that. But I guess my expectation, because I had heard about this film being a quote unquote flop, and it comes off this like narrative of, you know, Pixar are done and not as good as they used to be, and I don't like sort of jumping on that bandwagon. But I did find myself disappointed because there is things I like in this, and particularly the themes. And as I was watching, I feel like I should have been more connected with them, especially like because you've got a character who's like lost parents and that isolation, and I can get that. I definitely can connect with that, but I didn't connect with it in that way. And I was just trying to think why, and get into some of the behind the scenes as well as like the narrative side of it. So yeah, I found myself disappointed actually, if I'm honest. So we'll get into why and what everyone else's deeper thoughts are, but we'll do a recap. So this is a story that takes us to some kind of fictional Northern California area, and after the death of his parents, a young I was going to say Theo. A young Elio Solis is orphaned and lives with his aunt Olga, an Air Force major who gave up her dreams of becoming an astronaut to raise her nephew. At a museum, Elio wanders off and is awed by the idea of discovering other life in space. Years later, Elio wants to be abducted by aliens, and one night, other kids, Bryce and his bully type friend Caleb, mess with Elio's ham radio, leading to a fight that injures his left eye. At Olga's workplace, Elio sneaks into an emergency meeting where conspiracy theorist Gunther Melmac claims to have detected an alien response to Voya. Elio uses Melmac's device to send a message, causing a power outage at the military base, nearly costing Olga her job. Olga decides to send Elio off to a youth camp where Bryce and Caleb are also. Back at the military base, Olga receives strange extraterrestrial messages in response to Elio, who is finally abducted by an alien ship. Inside the spaceship, a liquid supercomputer welcomes him to the Communiverse, where aliens share their knowledge. He is mistakenly declared as the leader of Earth, and before Elio can clarify, Lord Gregon, a warlord previously rejected by the Communiverse, arrives to take it by force. Looking for an extended stay, Elio volunteers to negotiate with Gregon in return for induction as an ambassador. The supercomputer creates a clone of Elio to take his place on Earth as Olga brings other Elio from camp after hearing about the fight with bullies. Meanwhile, Elio attempts to negotiate with Gregon but is imprisoned, and while trying to escape, encounters Gregon's son, Glordon. He uses him as a bargaining chip to convince Gregon to leave the Communiverse alone. Gregon agrees to leave them in peace in exchange for Glordon's safe return. So Elio is lonely and feels misunderstood by his aunt, while Glordon resists becoming a war machine like his father. So Elio creates a plan to keep them together. He hides the real Glordon in an escape shuttle while giving a clone to Gregon. But Gregon quickly realizes the deception and sends troops to retrieve his son. The Communiverse soon realize Elio is just a regular kid and returns him to Earth. Meanwhile, Glordon accidentally activates the shuttle heading towards Earth. Back home, Elio is devastated but spots his aunt looking for him with other Elio, whom she has already suspected was not her real nephew. They reconcile and head to the military base where Glordon's shuttle has been captured. Other Elio sacrifices himself to distract the military, while Elio and Olga sneak into the base to rescue Glordon, who is now suffering from hypothermia. They pilot the shuttle back to the Communiverse, calling on Bryce, Melmac, and a worldwide ham radio enthusiasts for help navigating a debris field. Reaching the Communiverse, they return Glordon to Gregon, who rips his warsuit open to save his son's life, apologizing to his son and the ambassadors. Elio is welcomed back to the Communiverse, but declines the offer, deciding that Earth is his home, and bids his friends farewell before returning to Earth with Olga. The end. So yeah, I feel like I said, I agree with Pinali on the mixed bag. And as I was putting the notes together, I kind of heard something about it, but apparently it's a very troubled production process, and I feel in a way that was seen on screen. So supposedly, as the story goes, Pixar conducted the early test screening in 2023, and people said how much they enjoyed the movie, but then they were asked how many of them would see it in a theater, and not a single hand was raised, according to sources familiar with the matter. So the then director, Melina, exited the project, and then much of it was reworked under new co-directors, Madeline Sharafian and Domi Shi. So I wonder if you all knew that, and whether you saw that, or having now known that, can you see that in the story?
Yeah, I did. I was aware of all that. I follow
Okay.
like news on animation quite a lot. So I'm like always like looking up, oh, how's the production on this thing going? How's this one going? Because I just like to keep track of like all the major animated projects going on. And yeah, I was aware of like that there was like problems happening. And I feel like I could actually sense it watching the movie. Like I felt like things were a bit disjointed in places where it felt like this section feels like one thing and this other section feels like something completely different that got like inserted later, or that first part got inserted later. It felt a little inconsistent in that way.
Yeah, I did feel I feel they did as best job as they could, but I can still see it. It reminded me, I don't know, Tazzy, if you remember this, but we did a project with like an event school, event academy, and they presented like event ideas like based on mayamada. I don't know if you remember, there's one group, and the way they were positioned, I think there were three of them or four of them. The way they were
Yeah.
positioned, like we could both tell something was up. And then after they did the pitch, the teacher said, no, something was up. There's a lot of drama in this. And that's how it felt to me, like watching this film. I don't know if you remember that, or if you if
Yeah,
you
no,
felt
yeah,
that.
I do. Yeah, I do. Like, I didn't know any of that, but I like it doesn't surprise me because as much as like I really enjoyed the film, like it was a really just good like wind down film for me as well. So I'd been really busy, and it was like
Mm,
really easy for me to keep up
yeah.
while I was like half asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that.
So I can see that response. And because I remember seeing the advert and it just being really cute and wanting to see it in the cinema and then just like flatness. That was it. It was just because I happened to be in a cinema and saw an advert for it, which doesn't happen to be much because I normally skip the ads. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand. Yeah, when I watched it, I was like, I'm glad I didn't see this in the cinema. I did really enjoy it, but yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
not
yeah.
it's a home watch.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. That was the problem, literally the problem from the screening. I don't know, maybe Penali, you can shed light on this, but because from what I heard, this is from the Hollywood Reporter, that it was initially portrayed as a queer-coded character that reflected the original director Adrian Molina's identity. But although I think they said they did not intend for it to be a coming out story, because very young character is 11 years old, but either way, the characterization sort of faded away throughout the production process. Elio became more masculine, following feedback from Pixar leadership. So that was an interesting
Yeah,
twist
I
on
don't
things.
really have any more information than what you have. We probably read the same articles,
Yeah,
but I know that
yeah.
there's stuff like, yeah, Elio was putting on like a little fashion show, like and stuff like that, just like less stereotypically masculine stuff, and like a little bit leaning more into a bit more feminine stuff or neutral stuff. And yeah, I think that stuff was like removed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the result is, so this film was, or is, Pixar's worst box office opening ever. So to throw some numbers out, 21 million in North America and 40 million internationally. And by comparison, I think the previous one, or at least the recent one, Inside Out 2, again, no name sequel franchise, but that made 1.7 billion globally in 2024. So obviously there's massive disparity. And for me, like I said, there's a sort of backdrop of Pixar have lost it, and such. So I don't like jumping on that. I'll say that again, but it says something. This says something here. How it was made, the result. From an audience perspective, I do worry what this says about the prospect for original animation, because I know some of the result was because of the behind the scenes, but then also it just seems like people don't want original animation, or is it because it just wasn't good or enough, or I don't know.
Can I jump in from the perspective of someone whose last Pixar film was Soul? I remembered, by the way.
Okay.
Mm.
And Soul was
I like
good, if
Soul.
I
Yeah,
recall.
Soul's
That
good.
was so
Soul
good.
hit
yeah,
me.
so I
Yeah,
love Soul. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and that was a while ago. I remember watching that in lockdown. Really enjoyed that film. So yeah, coming into this, I'll be honest, I've not seen any articles or anything, but
The
I did
marketing was
come
like
away.
non-existent.
Well, I did actually. To be fair, I did see one ad for this. To be
Yeah, in
fair,
comparison, relatively so.
Yeah, and it was like, I just remember a clip of Elio kind of doing a sand angel, I guess, um, and waiting
Oh, actually,
to
I saw
be
that.
abducted.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember that.
and in any case, I did come away feeling like, oh dear, it looks like Pixar are on a downward trend here. That was my genuine feel. And I like Pixar films. Like I don't run out to watch them, but when there's one on, I'm always glad I watched them. One of my favorite films is Ratatouille. But like, yeah, there was something about it that just said like, well, it was that, but then also, like I said, I got the sense, or maybe they're also just maybe not trying to cater for everyone, so to speak, and keep everyone engaged in the same way.
Wait, so they're not trying to cater?
Yeah, in
Or-
terms of like my typical experience with Pixar films, like I said, is that young people can watch it and enjoy it because typically it will appeal to them primarily, I would say.
yeah,
But if you're like an adult, guardian, parent, and you're with the child watching the film, like there's some jokes in there for
yeah,
you.
you
There's
get
some
yeah, and
themes in
themes,
there
yeah,
for you. There's the music's like on point. There's so much in there that you end up going, oh wow, like this was a film for me. Like it wasn't just a film
Yeah.
for them.
Mm.
And
Especially
I
the
think,
emotional narratives too. Like adults
yeah,
yeah,
really connect to those.
yeah. And to be fair, Elio had some strings, some threads of that, but I just don't feel they
Yeah.
developed much. And as a result, it was like, I mean, it basically, my missus, I tend to kind of introduce her to different like films and stuff and animation because she's not traditionally into animation or anything like that. And we were watching this film. We watched it in two parts. I should say, I watched it in two parts because she didn't join me for the second part. She was like, "You can finish it without me." Um, so that said a lot, you know.
okay.
Um,
Second part's actually better than the first, in
I
my
know,
opinion.
right?
But
But that's how it goes sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that, but yeah, that's it. There was no, it wasn't like multi-dimensional like they normally are. Like,
Yeah. I think it was missing like some of those like emotional through lines that everyone can connect to kind of thing, you know.
for sure.
yeah.
Because even like Lao, you mentioned Soul, like Soul, like hit me because I was like, that's me. I need to not do that. I felt that, and Inside Out 2, just like anxiety. I remember being in a workshop and talking to some kids, and they were like, because I mentioned Inside Out 2, like, it's okay. I was like, you wait some years. That's gonna hit you. You wait till anxiety creeps up on you. So yeah, the Pixar, at least the best Pixar. I haven't seen Cars because I felt that was like intentionally just for kids. So
Oh,
Yeah.
Cars is good though.
oh, is it okay?
At least the first
I think
one.
it's a solid film. Yeah. It's a solid
Okay,
I don't think it's like, up there with the top, 5 whatever Pixar, but it's solid, yeah.
okay. But yeah, so generally that's my impression of Pixar. They're able to do what is difficult, and I feel people don't always appreciate like making something that is all ages. And I keep saying this for my matter stuff. All ages doesn't mean for kids. Those are two separate
Mm.
categories. Like being able to appeal to younger audiences, but also have those themes for older audiences. That's difficult. And I feel Pixar have some of the best examples of that historically. But yeah, I just wonder if I don't know if the original director, if they'd stayed, it would have gone that way to have those different themes, but taking them out and then having to paper over meant it went in a different direction. It feels like that. Yeah, and that was kind of partly my disappointment. So I've got disappointment in that, but then also, I guess, as a maybe perhaps a direct result in terms of how the story then came across as a narrative in a narrative sense. And one of the key one for me, I feel, I don't know, we'll see how this conversation goes, but the key one for me was Elio. Actually, is the problem with Elio and how they conveyed or communicated his trauma. So right from the start, Elio is dealing with like losing his parents, and we know he's in mourning, he's in grief, but the way they portrayed him, like that combination of mourning and self-pity, for whatever reason, for me, I don't know how you all feel, but it just made it hard to root for him because I didn't feel connected. So there's a like concept in storytelling of like the ghost or like the sort of past trauma. It's that the protagonist's like unresolved past trauma or wound is another word, emotional wound that haunts them through the narrative, and it impacts their present, at least whatever present day of the story, their present actions, decisions, relationships. And we kind of, and this is one of those things where it's sort of there. So like I said, I feel they pieced together
Yeah.
as best they could. So
I
it's
actually
there. You
have a
can,
note in my notes about the same thing, and
okay, great.
this might help you nail down what you were struggling with, which is when it comes to his trauma, it's all told at us. Like, we don't see it.
Yes,
It's all
yeah,
just told by a character, right? Like, it's someone on screen saying, "Oh yes, his parents are gone" or whatever, and it's like
yeah.
you don't feel anything from that, right? It's just like,
Exactly, and it's told in the worst expositional way, because there's even a scene or line. I think it's at camp, and someone like off screen goes, "Oh, there's the kid who lost his parents," and it's like,
yeah, it feels very
yeah,
yeah,
people don't talk about
I don't like that.
that. So there's that, and then the other side to it is, and it's so this is going to sound harsh for there's a kid who lost his parents, but I'm talking about the story from a storytelling perspective. But he, like, Elio comes across as like, I don't know, just like so self-obsessed, because he's like so adamant there's no place for him on earth, no one loves him, but it's hard to root for, because at least as I'm watching it and seeing his aunt, I've never any doubt that his aunt loves him and is doing her utmost best. And all she gets is like, this kid's like, I don't care, you don't love me, and I want to leave the planet. It's like that. There's such a disconnect for me from the very
Yeah.
start. And I
That was
struggled with
another
that.
problem that I had with it, where like he basically acts like, like I've been through stuff like this where I felt like an alien or whatever in school. Like I felt like, oh my god, I don't belong. Like, but I feel like we don't see enough of that. Like, we don't see enough of him being treated as other by like the other kids or by adults. Like
Yeah.
like we just see the adults being kind of annoyed with him, but that's like, I don't know if that's enough to make a kid feel like completely unwanted everywhere.
Yeah. I know, I agree. We don't actually see like him being alienated.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then like when the other kids come over, then like it's him who like acts
He
freaked
pushes
out
them
on them.
away. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, it's actually only ever people trying to make him
Connect.
connect with him.
Yeah.
Like, there is not, until he obviously pushes them away and then they're mean to him. But like, he done that, like, he really, really isolated himself. And he also doesn't seem young enough to behave like that. Like, his character's kind of written younger in
A
terms
good
of the
comparison would
behavior.
be probably Lilo, like from Lilo and Stitch. Like, she also has dead parents and she's also acting out, but we get to see the other kids like being really weirded out by her, right? Like at the beginning of Lilo
Yeah.
and Stitch.
Mm. Huh. And yeah, because it's a thing. And as I was thinking, as I was watching and putting together the notes, it's not like we need to see like, oh, his parents and they're loving him in the plane, and then the plane, I don't know, crashes, and then here's the one parachute. Is take it, kid, and then he's like, oh, okay, we don't. It's not like we always need to see the depth of the tragedy, but just, like, something more than, like you say, Pinali, just like telling us like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a kid that
Yeah.
parents died, and
I feel like the only thing that we get that makes him like seem alienated, and we don't understand the weight of this until the end, is the what is it, Elioese, the language that he speaks,
oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
his, and then we find out later that that's the language his parents like spoke with him, like, and we don't understand the weight
yeah.
of
No,
that
that's
until
missed.
right at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
end, when I'm like, oh, that's why he was so caught up on like
Yeah, it would have been
speaking
nice to know that.
Eloise.
Yeah.
And like, if that was earlier on, if we understood that concept earlier on, because that was really like constantly put in front of
Like,
us
forced,
with
yeah.
no
Yeah, it was.
context. Like, I just thought it was like a silly language that, like, the kid had made up, and that was it. But there was actually some emotional weight to it that we should have known about way sooner.
Hmm. Hmm.
I had a slightly different angle on his character, and
Yeah.
it was more the fact that his character wasn't very consistent in my view. I mean, obviously he's a kid, right? So kids do
Yeah.
strange things. But on the one hand, he's pushing everyone away, and yet he wants to be part of this alien community where he now feels accepted. And I don't know, like maybe I'm just looking too much into it, but he doesn't know any of these aliens from Adam. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who are they?
He's
They're
also
just
not being his true self, so how are they actually accepting him? Sorry to cut
Oh,
in.
that's a
yeah,
good point. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. I didn't even think of that. So
I mean,
there's
that could
so
have been a
many
lesson in
things.
there.
It was strange though, right? Like I'm here thinking Elliot might grow up to be quite problematic as a person because
Yeah.
because on the one hand you want friends, but there's people that care about you or kind of interested. And as you all rightly pointed out, there were people that were actually going to befriend him, and he basically pushed them away.
Yeah,
So
literally and figuratively.
yeah, so that I thought was a little bit strange. Yeah, so what I really wanted was to connect with that loneliness and I think what would have been interesting is if the aliens also this kind of like I guess pushed him away and said, "Oh, you know what? We thought you were someone of significance like from the get-go." That would have been a little bit more interesting because maybe then he kind of goes on this journey of having to prove himself or something or other
Mm.
and maybe through that he kind of learns that actually there are people out there that care about him and you don't need everyone, but as long as you've got one friend, something like this would have worked reasonably well, I think.
And
Yeah.
you saying that, I feel like that was supposed to be there somewhere
Yeah.
because
I
there's
think
the
this is the
point where
problem with like the meddling where like it feels like lots of different things were sort of supposed to be there,
yeah,
but like little bits of them have been left, but the whole thing just isn't there anymore.
yeah, because there was the bit where Elio was with I forgot the yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I wish, or maybe I'm not meant to belong anywhere," and I'm like, "Where,
Oh
where
yeah.
did that come from?" Like it was so out the blue. Because it was like, but
She's
hold
like,
on,
why
have
do
you
you
not
think
just
that?
been
Like,
accepted like immediately
yeah,
with open arms and no one has had any doubts whatsoever about your belongingness here? Like you even have someone to
yeah,
talk.
that's
You can
true.
even talk Eloise to people because it's like the translator and like yeah. So where did
Yeah,
I was just gonna say like it's all in your head. Like people not accepting you is
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
while we're talking about this, I realized the one bit about this film that I didn't like was Elio. I just kind of like that was just how I was
Yeah.
navigating the world, and I just really enjoyed the rest of it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, and it makes it tough. And it's like, because obviously, as a story creator, you kind of need people to not even necessarily like, you don't have to always like the main character, but you have to sort of root for them or want to follow their journey and just all the way of just like fighting with this, like from the beginning. Like, it just doesn't match up and it's tough to like square that circle for him. And like you say, Taddy, he does go from, to all intents and purposes, his aunt is doing her best, and she's trying to give him everything, and he leaves that to go to just group of aliens who just accept him, not just accept him, and maybe all right, it's not really him, but accepting you're the best, you're the representative for Earth, you're the best of Earth. They accept him, and it's still not enough, and he's still like, I don't belong anywhere. Like, what is going on with this kid? And again, it sounds terrible because orphan and everything. I know I was going to say I'm pro orphan, but then I don't think that's the yeah. Actually, you can't win with that because if I'm pro orphan, that sounds bad. If I'm anti orphan, that was
Anti-parents.
but yeah. So I feel Elio is such a big issue in this film, and I guess it must be an issue with the behind the scenes stuff. So I mean. So that was my main. I have other concerns, but I also have some positives as well, and the world building as well. So with this being I use the term kids film, and I guess I mean that in terms of maybe there's at least in the execution, there's no like higher level themes that maybe an older one could grab onto. I wanted to because I feel that situation, I can connect with that, but just wasn't there. But the world was interesting, or the universe was interesting. The Commonverse. So they mistakenly think Elio represents Earth, and it's a very diverse intergalactic council with like just all the alien races. Yeah, I don't know what people felt about that because I like that, but then also, you know what this film felt like. It felt like it felt like in an alternate multiverse where Disney hadn't bought Pixar, and Disney are seeing all the success that Pixar are having, and they're like, oh, we should try and do something like that. And it doesn't quite come off as well. That's what this film feels like.
I
I feel like you
liked I
tried to
liked
do
all
Pixar.
the visuals and stuff. I liked all the
It's very
alien
good.
designs and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I know that there
Yeah.
is like a subset of people, like loud people, who really don't like this very specific style that Pixar has been
I've heard this. Explain this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's an ongoing thing.
it was like, I think it was like a few years ago or something. There's a meme that goes around on the internet, and it's basically the CalArts style meme, where you you can see that a lot of the characters from people who went to CalArts
Yeah.
supposedly all have the same features. And I think the examples they used were like Gumball, Steven Universe,
Yeah.
and then there was some others, and it's like this head shape, and then the mouth is like a grin in like this little bean shape with the vertical lines for the teeth, and they all call this bean mouth. And people online get really like aggressively like passionate about this
Really?
idea that Pixar is failing because of bean mouth. So, and I think this is
Clearly
ridiculous, but that's an actual thing.
Okay, I did not know. I heard the term bean mouth, like I think like literally today as we
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, people
But I
get
didn't know it was
really
that deep.
weird about it. It's very strange.
Ah, okay. How did you Tazzy Lao feel about like bean mouth?
I was cool with the style, to be honest. Like yeah, like I liked some of the designs. At first, I was I was not so sure about. Oh, I've forgotten what the race is called, but basically the slugs, the caterpillars, slug
Oh,
caterpillar thingies. I don't know what they're called, but I did quite like Glordon. I liked his character design. It was cute and
it was
also
interesting.
terrifying at the same
Yeah.
time. I thought that was cool. I wouldn't mind a plushie.
Yeah,
That
Glordon
kind of
was really
Yeah.
cute. Yeah. So
um,
apparently they were based on tardigrades, like little space
Oh my god,
slug
yeah.
things.
No, I quite like the style. Like, it's fun. It's like, I don't know the words. I was going to use it's animated, but it's an, it isn't
Yeah,
animated.
that's not wrong.
But like that, like exaggerated animation, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a style that is recognizable as Pixar. Because I'm just thinking, like when Pixar, Toy Story, wildly successful, and I feel what happened is everyone or other animation studios, especially as your mainstream top end kind of thing, felt that is the one way that all animation needs to look. So then you get just a line of copycats trying to get that style until like Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like broke that as we
Yeah,
can
there's
we can
been
do
like
something different.
standard animated kids movie 3D style, like, and
Yeah,
it all just came from those early Pixar films, and then it started going in this weird direction of like, let's make it as realistic as possible with all the pores on people's faces and stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
I don't think you need that. So like that's why I don't mind the bean mouth style or whatever,
Hmm.
and I don't think the average person cares either.
No,
As long as the designs are cute,
yeah.
they're probably fine.
I don't think it's bad. I think this is me now. Just like I'm gonna be the overly critical person, but it's like so now is that what we're going to expect from Pixar? Is that can they not do anything different? And then I guess with this film in particular, the one issue I had with the world building. So I like the different characters and the variety, but again, it felt. I don't know. It felt like we were introduced to this new world, but then it is like it was in a rush to make it all like samey. So we had all these characters, and then immediately it's like he's given a translator, and then everyone speaks the same, and then everyone feel I don't know. It's just weird. If it really felt like a by committee. I guess I'm going to keep coming back to this theme because that's what it felt. I don't know if they could have explored the differences in what that meant for the aliens. And again, 90-minute kids film, I know, but just putting it out there. So yeah, I felt that maybe missed opportunity with the world building, but I don't know. People felt like that worked in terms of the mix of characters we saw in those intergalactic scenes.
I think here's the thing. Like this is me speaking now, having read a lot of Isaac Asimov and Foundation in the
Oh,
last
okay.
year.
Still
Like
need to watch that.
I read the
Yeah.
whole thing. So like I've been in space for the last year. Let's just say that. Um, they could have gone to at least one other world. I think
Mm.
when you do that, it just resets the audience for a bit, and
Maybe
we
that's
feel
it.
like by the end of it, we've gone on a bit of a journey. But if you think about it, even though there was some sort of light, I think like light speed travel or something like that, I think there was a bit of that in the film.
Mm,
It really felt like everything just took place right outside of Earth, and really they went
Yeah.
back to Earth.
Yeah.
And did they go anywhere at all? Then really, it was like it was just all a bit too easy, and they set things up so well with is it Grygon?
Mm.
the
Yeah,
main bad
yeah,
The
guy.
bad
Lord
character.
Yeah,
Grygon.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said he came in with like full force. I was like, okay, the
With his
stakes are
chest.
high. They even spoke of a queen. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe something's going to happen here. Maybe this is going to open up a bit. And really,
Not
everything
just
remained contained.
not just a queen, but a queen that was off fighting wars.
Yeah.
Like, I think that family was the depth of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
they're the ones who had the real, like, the emotional moment at the end where, like,
Yeah.
Grygon is, like, saving Glordon, and he, like,
Yeah.
gets out of his armor, which is this huge
Oh,
cultural
it's
significance in their
yeah.
species, and he takes it off to protect his son, and it's like, that's really sweet. I like
Mm.
that. I like seeing him, you know, accepting his son and whatever. That's a great message. But I feel like we didn't get that same thing for Elio.
Elio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just my thing about like exposition, because you need to do it to some level, but I just felt it was like overly done. Somehow shonen anime gets away with it, and I just accept it. It's too much exposition. But here, there's just I just felt like I just get the impression of like sanding down things, and that exposition is like just to make sure we never have to figure things out. And again, I guess intended audience and all that. But I also feel that whenever we say like kids film is kind of used in offhand to dismiss like to lower standards. But I mean, Tazzy, we talked about, I don't know if you guys have seen The Wild Robot, which
Not
Yeah.
yet, but it's on my list.
it's on
So
okay.
good.
I love it.
It's
Yeah.
so, and that is a kids film, but there's so much in there from like visual variety, the themes like dark themes in there, and it works. And it's so good that even, I mean, this is just for Lao, but our our friend Jabril, who is not an anime, I don't know if it's true or not, but I get the impression he's not he's the animation is for kids misconception guy. But even he said Wild Robot is one of the best films he's seen this year, and that says something. It will mean nothing to anyone other than me and Lau, but that means something. So
That
when I
says
say
a lot.
it says a lot. So yeah, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking yes, it's a kills film, but that doesn't mean it should the lowering of standards if you're doing it right. And I feel Pixar should know that, and that's why it was disappointing for this. But to give like some understanding, because as I was reading about behind the scenes and having to rework, I did think about our issues with Serious Volume 1 between me, Lau, and Pinali, where we essentially had to do something similar. I mean, no one left, but we had to rework a story in the middle because not just the director, but when the film, I'm talking about Elio now, when the film was announced at Disney's D23 event in 2022, America Ferrera was in the role of Olga, and then Olga was Elio's mum. And then next year, she had left the film. This is after the initial director had left. I think the reason was scheduling conflicts. And then Zoe Saldana joined the cast as Olga, and who is now Elio's aunt. So that's a whole narrative.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like the parents weren't originally dead at all, so
Yeah. And then that's why that felt kind of shoehorned in because we didn't really feel it. It's just like, this is it now. Whatever his backstory was is now this. And we're shifting
I
these
feel
around.
like this is making so much sense as to why like
Yeah.
Elio's part of the story is so like just such a flat kind of mishmash.
Yeah, that's the word, flat. Yeah.
And then the other family has like, because to me this should be like it should be kind of like a dual
Gordon.
story. Yeah, Gordon has like a like a full story. So it feels like Gordon's stories kind of stayed more stable throughout it.
Yeah.
And then Elio's has like just been changed so much. And I feel like originally it was meant to be like a dual story situation where they complement each other and drive home the messages from each like family's issues, and then that just hasn't happened because Elio's story seems to be the one that has the most changes to it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it makes so much sense.
Makes sense.
Because
Yeah,
everything I like about the fact about the thing is all the
it's everyone
Gordon
else.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is difficult because, like, and for like background on Sirius, when we were making Sirius, because I think we got to the stage of doing the, like, Pinali was illustrating the pages, and then we had to cut 30 pages, 30 pages out of the story, which
Oh, wow.
I feel Lao to this day has not gotten over. um, but that was difficult, right, Lao? Because you had to rework that. I can't remember what stuff you cut out, but you had to rework that.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, genuinely don't remember how much was cut. It's a testament to the final book, because I remember the final book basically.
Yeah.
You know what? It's one of those things where it was just like, okay, well, and this is me speaking in retrospect. Like, I don't know if I really felt this way at the time, but I think a big part of the creative process is chipping away all of the stuff you don't really need, because then you can kind of get to the actual core. Or you maybe, if you didn't have anything, then you find out actually there's nothing there, and actually you need to start over. So I was quite happy with the fact that we were able to get to that point where we had got to the page number requirement and the story still held together. It didn't like take away anything too much, and that's just kind of part of the process. I think what's happened here though is well, I guess if there's been like changes in leadership, I mean, that's always going to be tricky, right? Then changing direction, changes in characters. Yeah, it's always going to be tricky with that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, it is tough.
But it does suggest that the foundation of the entire story may not have been that great, because then after they've kind of chopped a bit and changed a bit, it's like it doesn't really hold. And yeah, I think that's my analysis, at least, of maybe why it's kind of gone the way it did.
And like I said, it feels like the best they could have done, but can still concede issues. And like Tazziii, I think you touched on what I was going to come to in terms of like the positive parts, because the Glordon Gregon like storyline was interesting, and they felt like fully fleshed out characters in this world, where just from his introduction, so Gregon is like, basically, let me in your club. All right, you won't? I'll burn it all down. That was his thing, and he's like the warmonger. But he felt like a character. He felt like, okay, that's who he is. And then through Greedon, we get more depth to his own story, but also then his father's story, and that whole thing of my father wants me to be this, I don't want to be that. And again, that is relatable. There are relatable themes in this. And I guess that was the more fully fleshed out one. So Elio's essentially helping him on his journey to be who he really is. And it's not the warmonger. It's just, I'm just want to be a kid. And actually, what did he want to do? He just didn't want to do war.
He just didn't want to do war. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
I feel like they got to the here's one thing about that and the kind of crossover with Elio that was a bit weird for me. That they got to the montage, the friendship montage, far too quickly, in my view.
Okay.
I think
I remember that.
I think it was funny, but like
Yeah.
it was almost like you're already best of friends. I mean, obviously kids, they if they hit it off, then yeah, fine. But somehow, for the pace of the story, I just feel like maybe they should have gone through like at least one serious trial before.
Like in their relationship.
Yeah, like
Right.
I don't know, something that would have almost like caused a big problem. Even like one had to save the other or something, just so
Right.
that they can have a bit more of a stronger bond. To me, it just seemed like, okay, two lonely people. Oh, let's be friends. Cool, like, okay, now we're best friends. I'm not saying that that isn't enough, but in this
It didn't feel like
context,
enough. Yeah.
it didn't really land for me. I felt like it was a bit too soon. And
Yeah.
I like the Glordon character. This is the thing. Glordon seemed like a very cool character. Like he'll get on with pretty much anyone. He's pretty cool. Like, chill guy. Like or slug. So like, doesn't really want to be killing folk. So yeah, there was something there that I think they missed out on.
Yeah, yeah. And then while that's happening, you do get other Elio who's been sent with Olga to kind of take his place. That was a whole funny thing because then, I guess, that was a good thing because it was about, I mean, it only reinforced the fact that, she does love him and she knows him and, and everything like that. But the idea is like he just suddenly has a character change in her eyes. He's like, oh, you've let this whole thing drop, this space thing drop, and now just this perfect kid, but that's not my nephew, and I know something is up. I do like the way she discovers it, and there's a bit of I guess it's a bit scary in the context of I keep saying a kids film, but I'll use that phrase where was it the hair or something? She's trying to get the hair. And
Yeah.
I did like that. I like that phrase.
Yeah, I like that sequence. I like the whole her like piecing it together, and then it starts off with like, oh wow, he's a perfect child and whatever, and and it's like I feel like again there's like something there, like there is something there with like Elio seeing how much happier the adult in his life is with a perfect kid who isn't weird like him, right?
Yeah.
Like that's very relatable, and I feel like there's something there, but it just didn't come together.
Yeah, and then I mentioned Wild World, but I won't say too much because Lau, you haven't seen it, but it is very good. And there are things in this where again the stakes. I guess that's what it is, the stakes. So I mentioned Invincible, and definitely not the same, not the same kind of stakes, but the moments I was describing in Invincible, and Loud knows the moments I'm talking about. Like I really felt emotionally invested, and completely different context. But in Wild Robot, there's some of the stakes that are set up in there. You really feel like, oh, I'm feeling something for these characters and the state of their relationship now, and as I'm in it. But yeah, with this, I'd never felt emotionally invested in it. It's like you say, Tazzy, it was flat, and there was a quote, or at least some but sort of behind the scenes feedback from a former Pixar artist who worked on the film and asked to remain anonymous, who said it was pretty clear through the production of the first version of the film that studio leaders were constantly sanding down these moments in the film that alluded to Elio's sexuality of being queer. Suddenly you remove this big key piece, which is all about identity, and Elio just becomes about totally nothing. And it just makes me think of the wider thing about, I guess, where we are with like not just animation, just like stories and putting things out. And I don't know what the balance is between identity, like whatever the identity is, and making something that says something, and then what studios often try and do is sand all that down so it doesn't offend anyone.
I think like all of that. I mean, if I had to guess, it was probably in response to the results of like the election.
There's that backdrop as well.
Yeah, and I know that
how's that going for you, by
at
the way?
least in the US,
America seems it seems interesting.
I mean, oh god, it's always interesting. There's always something to gawk at. But I do feel that a lot of the meddling that happens, because the government was threatening to pull funding or whatever if they detect people doing
woke stuff,
certain woke stuff, and they're like, oh, we'll pull your funding, well, and they obviously, businesses don't want to have funding pulled, so they just go along with it, so I wonder if that was part of it.
I think the issue is that like somehow there still needs to be the integrity. Somehow you need to maintain the integrity of the story. And I guess, like, because it's also a business, I think those two can then be at odds.
Sure.
Yeah, conflict.
Yeah. So then, I mean, how do you square that? How do you, because nothing's in a vacuum, right? It's all in the context of what's going on. Even whatever one of the criticisms about, companies being too worried about money but whatever your favorite thing is, whatever your favorite film, game, someone paid someone to do it and expected a return on the investments somewhere. So there's always a part of it. It's just like the balance.
They always
of it.
they want profit. They at least want to break even, but ideally they want profit. So
yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's a tricky one, and I mean I guess like I said earlier, I feel the second part is better than the first part of this film, and it does pull it together because Elio does learn a lesson, right? So by the end, because he gets sent back when they discover he's just a kid, and his aunt, he does reconcile with his aunt. They do help. Glordon, other Elio sacrifices himself, which is a funny moment. Just like as
that
kind of
was
like
good.
yeah, sort of distracts the
that was funny. Yeah,
melting
Is
down.
it sacrificing himself when he was gonna
Oh, it's a good point. Actually, he'll do
decompose
it anyway.
anyway?
Yeah, fair point.
It was
All right, let me take
more.
that back from him.
it was funny though. I like that.
Yeah.
Good sequence.
Yeah, that was good. That was like because it was the guy who's like, "What's this?" And then he did that horror thing where it's like, "You're there,
Yeah.
there," and suddenly he's right in front of you.
The
So
space garbage scene was also pretty cool, although I did find it a little bit contrived. But
Yeah, it didn't hit. Like I found myself
that's with
being
his
like,
aunt when they were flying.
like where's this coming from? Like what?
Yeah,
Wait,
it
what?
seemed-
like
It seemed very sudden, and like suddenly there's this very. It's like they had to add like this challenge for them to go through together, and they were like, "What
yeah,
could we do?" Like it's such an add-on.
yeah.
And like
And
overly
it feels like they're
dramatic
trying to
and-
like tie together like, okay, you know how the movie opens with like, you know, trying to reach, you know, sending this thing out to communicate and whatever, and then we have this sequence with, oh, everyone's communicating to whatever. So there's like this there's this attempt at a theme of communicating, but it's just yeah, that sequence just feels like it comes out of nowhere.
But I guess, yeah, like you said, so adding in that some kind of conflict and some kind of togetherness to then bring the themes. Because, I mean, through that, Elio then is like, oh, you do care about me. Because I guess that's his thing at the beginning. He's like, no one cares about me. I don't care what you say. I don't care, I don't care what you do. No one on this planet cares about me. But by the end, he learns that this random group of aliens who he just met maybe aren't better than the actual family that he has. And he does, you know, because he calls his friend Bryce. He calls up Bryce. And to his credit, you know, Bryce is the reluctant bully. I don't know if that's any better than someone who actually is in it for love, but you know, whatever. He learns something as well, so he does come back in. So you know, they do tie it together. Gets tied to, and Elio's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back with my art. So we feel good by the end, right? All's well that ends well. There you go.
I don't know. I feel like the end confused
I
me.
tried.
Like I don't know. Like it just I don't know. I know that like yeah, I think if that's the sort of angle that you're coming at it from, where like at the beginning he wasn't appreciating that his aunt, you know, wanted him, and then by the end he's like, okay, I am wanted, so I can leave here. But at the same time, it's like coming at it from, as you say, like a queer angle. Like there is this whole thing of like, you know, you can just feel like you're out of place, and it's sometimes it is important to just have your found family and feel
Okay.
and somewhere you feel like you can really belong and be yourself. And so like at the end for him to be like maybe
Right,
later
okay.
is a bit like I feel like which is why I feel like yeah, there's these two different
that's
things that are
interesting.
happening here, and I feel like maybe the original version was going to go with one angle and then it got retooled into the other angle, but there's still bits left of each that like seem to sort of contradict a little bit and don't quite line up or something. I think that's how I felt about the ending.
yeah. You know what? Actually, I think you might be right because I can actually see it ending where he stays. He joins the Federation or whatever they were called, and basically he just sends a clone back, and the aunt sort of says, "Actually, I did quite like the clone." So,
His arrangement. Hey, this arrangement. He cleans up. He cooks. He cleans.
That's a
You
bit
really don't need to be here.
because it will allow her to pursue her dream. Although she's technically been to space, but you get my point.
See, my ending was that
That's
they would
deep.
both stay in space because her dream is to be an
To be an
astronaut
astronaut.
and
So you're
That's a
already
good
there.
point.
and then
Yeah.
they're there, and I was like, so when they went back, I was like, wait, the logical
For
conclusion
what?
would have been
Yeah.
for them to both,
Yeah.
and they'd
Because
both
then
be
he's not
happy
like a
because
kid being the emissary or whatever. He has an adult with him who can, you
yeah,
know, who has a bit more responsibility and experience.
And like, it doesn't seem like she has much
Much
to go back to. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't seem
that's a
like
good
she has
point.
any strong
Jail.
affinity. Yeah, exactly. Like, they like, yeah, that's true. They massively violated some laws there.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think they would come back to like
It's like a
anything.
parade.
Yeah, because as
It's
well,
just
like they have
handcuffs.
there's literally no like back on Earth. There's literally nothing, and it
Yeah, they don't suffer any
like, there's nothing
consequence.
to go. Yeah, there's because there was no. The Earth has no idea what was going on in space. That's completely
That's a good point.
disconnected from everything.
Communiverse.
So
Yeah,
what are
nice
they going
try,
back?
buddy.
What are they going back to? Like, but yeah. So
Why
my
don't you
my
get
thing
Greek
was
on the
like,
phone and he can tell me whatever. He can back up your
yeah.
story. You know, someone gets arrested and they're like, no, my friend, like, he can vouch for me. It's like, yeah.
My thing would have been, yeah, that they both end up
Yeah,
in
that's a good point.
the communiverse and
I
like,
did not think about that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I don't know why I didn't do that.
All right, Tazzy just fixed it for you. Pixar.
Yeah, my consultancy fee is
Yeah. That's mad. That's true. So okay, yeah, it did. Yeah, I don't know. It felt weird, but I mean, like visually, we talked about like visuals. Visually, it was cool. I mean, I guess it depends on your feeling on. Was it Bean Mouth?
Bean mouth.
Bean Mouth. Okay.
I'm gonna look out for that now.
Yeah, and then I noticed the eye patch thing as well, which at one stage I thought was a huge thing, but it was just he got poked in the eye, right? And then that
Yeah.
becomes a
I-
character.
Something.
was very confused about the eye patch as well. I kind of just scrubbed it off in my head. I was like, I'm just going to ignore
Yeah.
that I have no idea why there's
Like,
an eye
why?
patch.
Because I saw people online like, oh, it's representation for like he's got lazy eye or this condition. Was it?
Yeah, but no, in the end, he just kind of gets
agoraphobia?
poked in the eye
Poked,
and
yeah.
has to, and has
So,
to wear it because he's got a
yeah.
big bruise.
I mean, it's interesting character design. I guess it
Yeah.
stood out, but
I feel like the sole purpose of it was so that she could check under the eye and be
yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
there's no eye there.
Like
It's just a
retrofit.
patch.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, sometimes that happens. To be fair, you make a story, you work backwards to get to a moment, but then I guess in this case, you work backwards. The reasoning wasn't great because he literally just got poked in the eye for a fight, and then for the rest of the time had this eye patch. I don't even remember it being that hard to hit. But I don't know. Anyway, he's a kid. Maybe kids are softer, so bruise easier.
They're actually more malleable. They're designed to heal quicker.
That's true. They got that Wolverine healing factor. So yeah, I mean, we talked about like the characters. I think the standout for me was Lord Guigon. I don't know if anyone else felt any other way about the characters.
I liked the like sea slug type alien. I forget what their name was. The one who could do the mind reading. I really liked that design. It's just I just liked how it was like flowing through the air. Yeah, the colors.
I love their design. Yeah. And then
that was the name, right?
Oh, that was Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the index, and technically not a character, technically just an object.
That's a good point.
Maddie character.
Because could answer any question.
Yeah, and reluctantly, like, this is like really trying to hammer home that like fighting's bad.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, actually, that's good. Those are some good moments.
Elio's kind of like, just give me the facts. I didn't ask you to give me your opinion. You're an index. Give me the
You're
facts.
not my mother. She's not my mother. You're not my mother. Just give me the neat information. So yeah, actually, I forgot about that character. That was a funny character as well. Yeah, so there were some interesting characters, but yeah, I think overall it just felt and then the whole Olga bit going from mother to aunt, and I guess it just reframed the entire story because obviously that's completely different background. Yeah, it's hard to know if it would have been better or worse, or what impact that would have had. But that's just a interesting change to the story. So then with the themes, because like we've said, there are themes in here, and there are themes that could have gone to that existential, like particularly for me, because it could have been very relatable themes for me, but didn't quite hit. But they are there. You have that identity and belonging, which is the whole idea. Like Elio, for whatever reason, believes he doesn't belong where he is, which I feel can be relatable for younger audiences as well. The importance of family and friends. We see like Elio's, essentially his insecurities turn away potential new friends in Bryson. Maybe I think Caleb came in straight with that bully energy, so maybe he was never going to be anything more than that. But like Bryce certainly like pushes him away, and then over the course of the story, he does learn to appreciate the friends and family that he did have. And then the idea of like loneliness, I feel is a really good one. I mean, for anyone in this day and age, and particularly for black boys, I feel being able to have that space in terms of this film to see like, oh, that's loneliness, and that's how this character deals with it, even though probably doesn't deal with it in the best way. But Elio does feel the drift from everyone, so he's like literally reaching out to space for anyone who might give him some acceptance. And I don't know, were there any of the themes, as you know, as they were, that connected with you at all, or did it all just pass you by?
I definitely feel like the themes of like identity and belonging were the ones I noticed the most.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, yeah, Elio feeling unwanted by his parents, or like feeling like he doesn't belong, and then he finds somewhere to belong. And then yeah, Glordon is going through the same thing of like, oh, I don't want to be what my dad wants me to be. And it's like, so I could see those bits in there, and I think that was what I most picked up on.
Yeah. How about anyone else?
Yeah, there's also this idea of purpose and I guess being fulfilled in or fulfilling your dreams, let's say that way, and also the roles that are expected of you, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking of Elio's aunt, who had a dream to be an astronaut and kind of had to put that aside. To be frank, I kind of felt sorry for her, mainly because of the way
I
Elio
did.
was acting.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was that, and obviously you had Grygon's dream for his son, and the son's dream to basically not fulfill that.
Mhm.
So you had a few different things there, and I think those are the bits that kind of stood out for me. I think so much could have been done with that. Just the expectations that were not fulfilled, and expectations that are kind of imposed. They could have done some interesting things with that.
Yeah, they could have. What could have been, I think, is the bottom line for this story. But and I guess the back to that, what do we expect from Pixar, and then what do we think going forward? Because Pixar, again, like I said earlier, I don't want to jump on the Pixar is over until they definitively prove otherwise. I still feel just capable of doing good work, and also the nature of creative work, especially when you mix it with business, capable of some misses. So we've got some new films. I know there's a new film, I think Hopper, coming from Pixar, and then there's a lot of investment in sequels. So I guess my question, or my sort of thought, is in where Pixar is now in terms of like from a business perspective, but also just like you mentioned, Pinali, just the climate of things. And I know Pixar and Disney have been in that debate about, because I know Pete Docter, who's the head at Pixar now, said that they should make the most quote unquote the most relatable films possible. I think people perceive that as a shift away from putting forward those underrepresented characters and voices. They've had some pushback, Lightyear, which I didn't see. I just had no interest in that. But got some pushback from right wing pundits after there's like same gender kiss in that. I know their Pixar's Win or Lose series on Disney Plus, which I think is fantastic, actually. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, Some Faith was restored live. I just remembered that. I thought that was great, but that did get some pushback because I think there's some controversy over a transgender storyline being scrapped in that. So Disney / Pixar are caught up in this. Trying to avoid the term culture war, but I guess there it is. So then, yeah, what do we expect from Pixar with that in mind, or just from a narrative perspective in terms of what they're able to produce? Do we feel, is the picture still rosy? Do we still expect high, or is this a slide? Is this actually the slide of Pixar going forward?
I mean, thankfully, I haven't seen enough of the catalogue of the last decade to say that they're going downhill. So I guess they have ignorance. Well, they have my ignorance working for them, because
Okay, yeah.
I've seen more good Pixar than I've seen bad, and therefore my feeling at the moment is that, okay, this film wasn't particularly great, but it's Pixar, and they still have quite a lot of, I guess, brand equity, so to speak. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
I trust that they can do what they've done in the past again. It's like I said before. I think they just need to focus on telling good stories.
Hmm.
And let me say it this way: human stories will always connect. So as long as they keep doing that, I think they will do well in the long term. But I actually would say the more they get pulled into or get pulled by business and politics and other things, that could
Can't win
cause
that.
a lot of problems, But if their North Star is, no matter what happens, no matter what the prevailing kind of like messages are, we want to tell a good story, and we want to tell the story we set out to tell, then yeah, I think they'll do okay.
It's hard to follow that. I'm of this. I think I've mentioned it before when we spoke about like I always measure it by like Marvel, the
The
MCU.
Marvel train, the
Yeah,
Pixar
of
train. We're
like,
starting up the Pixar train.
but like this is going back to something I would have said like a while ago. It's like, just because a bad film or some bad films doesn't make, or not even like not at, like sometimes a film might just be like not as good, but when your bar is so
Right.
high, that's
Yeah.
then becomes the measurement of like everything has to hit this high bar,
Or it's a failure.
or it's going downhill. They're never going to be able to do anything good again, because like not everything's a home run.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is that. Like, it's not the first time that people have been like, oh, Pixar is going downhill, and then I've watched the film and I've been like, this is amazing, what are you on about?
I think there's a lot of
Like-
nostalgia tied in as well, because a lot of the people saying this
Yeah.
stuff are people who grew up with like, Toy
course.
Story,
And in
Finding
formative
Nemo,
years, or more formative.
Incredibles. Yeah,
Yeah.
like everyone, there's this thing where it says, if most people, if you ask them, what was the best time to be alive, they'll say when they were about 12. So
Yeah.
so people who were watching Pixar movies when they were 12, those are the best movies
it,
ever.
yeah.
It's the best time to be
Yeah.
alive, and everything after that is terrible.
Exactly. And like
We're the problem.
I can't think of like the order of like a lot of films, but like I remember when we spoke about Elemental, and
I was thinking that. I'm surprised I
that
didn't
was
mention it, actually.
such a good film.
Yeah. And that
But
got
so
saved
much-
as well. That was evidence of
so
the
was
slide.
like, oh, it's going downhill, and I'm like, did we watch the same movie?
Yeah, Elemental, Turning Red, Luca,
Turning Red was
Inside
good,
Out
yeah.
2 have all been
Luca,
great films.
amazing,
Like, yeah. And yeah, they've had a few like flops between like Onward and Lightyear and whatever, but we still are consistently getting good films. So
Yeah. And even like I watched like, I didn't think it was like awful. I thought it was quite a fun movie. Like, okay, it wasn't.
I was
like,
a bit confused by it, honestly.
It wasn't
yeah.
like epic levels of Pixar,
Yeah.
but it was like, it wasn't like a bad. It was still better than a lot of movies. And I feel like there's like this like really weird like way that we judge things now, and also like. I think there's so many layers to it as well, because I think it's just one of those ones that was like just not as good, and I think we'll get I think the next movie or the one after that will then bring it back, and they'll be like, oh my god, is Pixar making
from
a
the ashes,
comeback?
the phoenix.
And it'll be like, no, they just like no one is ever completely always at their peak.
It's like that meme where you have like the circle going around with arrows, and it's like
Oh
we are
yeah,
so
yeah,
back, and like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
we are
It's a
so
flop.
over,
Shut
we
it
are so
down.
back.
Yeah. So
like yeah,
Penali, I'm not Penali, sorry. Tazzy, you made a really interesting point though. Like, I think you mentioned Marvel, and like Pixar is not Marvel. That's the way I look at it. Like, when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're trying to build something cohesive, and
yeah.
if there's a few flops in there, then yeah, like I think people should be rightly upset, because they're trying to story, and the story doesn't look like it's going to be any good. So then, yeah, I'd be concerned. But Pixar's not that. So I
Yeah,
think the standards shouldn't be like the same in terms of people's expectations. They should have a lot more leeway, I think.
yeah, and they're all independent stories, aren't they? So
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
obviously
But
other than the
apparently there's some kind
sequels.
of shared universe, or there's like a conspiracy. I don't think it's conspiracy,
I've
but
not heard
a
about
thought.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Apparently every.
people love to do that.
I know.
They do that for like the Disney princess movies.
Oh, is it?
There's like a whole like there's the fan theories are wild. Some of them kind of make sense, and you're on board.
The best
Um,
ones do.
yeah,
The best ones
but
do.
like exactly, like I completely agree about it. It isn't Marvel. They're not creating this like humongous universal, universal universe. That doesn't make sense. This like humongous universe. They are all like independent films, and also I think the other thing is like not everything's going to hit for everyone.
That's a whole
Like
other thing. Everyone thinks everything is for them.
yeah, and I think Elio is probably great for like younger kids.
Yeah.
It's like not as good as Pixar normally do because like you said earlier, Lau, that Pixar normally have a bit of something for everyone in, and this is missing that. So yeah, I would say like it's not as good as other Pixar movies. I would not say that this is their downfall.
The
I
sky
think
is
that's just
falling.
like, yeah, it's so melodramatic. Jesus.
Everything has to be something, Tazzy. This is the internet age. I would
Oh,
say, oh yeah, I agree. Generally, it doesn't have to be like the end. You can have a bad outing. I think for me, the only thing there's a little bit of worry is hearing about what sounds like by committee stuff, and I always worry about it. And I know not that this is the first film Pixar have done that. Even I think I'm going to mention this in my tip, but one of the frustrating things for me is that Pixar have taken feedback from an audience in Finding Nemo, reworked things, and made it like better. I'm frustrated they didn't do that here. But yeah, but generally speaking, we can do that too much. And I always like Studio Ghibli, I know have the other approach, which is we don't ask people. This is the story. This is the story. You like it or don't like it. I respect that. I respect that as creatives, as people who make stories. So, and there's balance. There's not one way to do everything. I do like the Studio Ghibli way though, but there's not one way to do something. But I feel that there is a balance. Even if you do go and ask like your audience, your focus group, there's still a balance of someone saying something. And for me personally, that's why I like in stories. Someone is saying something, not preaching, not like this is my view and everything is for that view. I like I'm saying something, and then with this story, with these characters, I'm going to explore that and explore different aspects of it. And I like that in Pixar. I feel they've had the balance, and I hope they keep the balance. And that's my feelings like going forward. Sometimes you don't always hit a home run. And then you go to the next one. So we'll see what they do next. That has been our discussion on Elio. Yeah, we don't like orphans. I feel that's the takeaway from this. Mayamada does not like orphans. But yeah, let us know what you think about the story. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let us know. Jump in our Discord, email. Before we wrap, let's go into this week's storytelling tip. Each time we do a deep dive on the podcast, I like to pull out a storytelling tip for others to consider when making their stories. So this is a consideration from someone who also creates stories and likes to learn from the techniques, or maybe in this case, the mistakes of others. Because today I wanted to discuss getting the ghost right, or at least better. Maybe it's all relative, but like we mentioned before, the ghost in the story is that past significant often traumatic event that shapes your protagonist's worldview, or their life, their actions in some kind of thematic way. So I actually spoke about this way back. I had to check in episode 28 when we talked about the Last of Us video game, the first one, because that's a really good example, because we see and play out the protagonist Joel's past. So the outbreak of the infected sees a series of events that leads to loss of his daughter Samantha, which I hope I'm getting that name right, and I'm not imagining that. Someone fact check me on that. But so we play that event, that past event, and that is his ghost. It still haunts him in the present day of the story. And that ghost is a narrative anchor. So it explains why a character behaves in certain ways, and why they may pursue a misguided path towards healing or their eventual goal. And at its best, like the ghost, it can create that depth, that emotional investment, because it's relatable. Like we feel what the character feels, and it also provides a through line that binds the character's external journey to their internal one. But it can be mishandled, which can leave audiences unmoved in my case, or even frustrated in others. Because in Elio, we see a character with a ghost, that's the loss of his parents, and that should be a powerful and relatable emotional foundation. But it just doesn't work for several reasons, as we've kind of explained. So what we see is his trauma kind of feels like just a line on a character sheet, and the film doesn't really meaningfully illustrate how it shapes his worldview, his fears, his desires. Instead, we get exposition, which is used to do the work that a well-constructed story should be doing. So, for example, again, I think I mentioned it before, the bit where the kids shout out, like, there's a kid who lost his parents. Like, who talks like that? People don't say things like, well, maybe some people are just terrible people. But it just feels like exposition. And because the film shortcuts that emotional work, we're just expected to accept Elio's grief rather than feel it ourselves. Doesn't mean we have to always see the loss, but without the scenes that embody it in some way, whether it's like behavior or conflict or some kind of imagery, it just becomes informational rather than something we experience. So to our ears and eyes, Elio's aunt loves him and is doing her best to give him the best environment to recover, but he just rejects it so strongly for reasons we are told but never feel for ourselves. And it kind of reminded me of first season of Netflix's Iron Fist series, which did frustrate a lot of people, myself included, because we see the protagonist, Danny Rand, who's a great example for how a protagonist can have a traumatic backstory, and yet we feel irritation instead of empathy towards him. So he definitely has a ghost, but because the series never allows the audience to feel it, his behaviors that are meant to read as trauma responses instead just come across as entitlement or emotional inconsistency, and at worst echoes of like white savior tropes in there, because we're informed that Danny survived a plane crash, witnessed his parents die, grew up in an isolated, highly disciplined monastery, trained for years in extreme conditions, was shaped by a strict, almost cult-like institution. But we see very little of this, and some flashbacks in there, but they don't really hit. His trauma just becomes a statement, not a lived experience. And then we're asked to empathize with this like billionaire kid with a wound that they barely shown. So keep that in mind. And here are 3 storytelling tips when you are crafting your protagonist ghost. So number 1, let the ghost shape choices, not just scenes. So that wound is only meaningful if it influences what the protagonist does or avoids or fears or misunderstands. So if it doesn't affect like decision making, it shouldn't really belong. And I mentioned Finding Nemo because it was annoying to me, because Pixar are good at this. They have done that with Finding Nemo, where they moved flashback scenes around to ensure that the audience were on board when they weren't in early versions of the story. So they didn't like the, I guess, kind of main character, Marlin. They didn't like him in early versions, but they moved things around, and then Marlin's ghost directly informed his decisions. So we see him as like fear-driven, overprotective, anxiety-ridden, but we know why, because the loss of his partner and a barracuda attack that kills his partner and nearly all their eggs. So then every behavior flows from that, and we, the audience, feel that. So we're on board with his journey. Number 2, give the trauma some specificity and texture. Don't just do the "my parents died" or have kid characters shout out, but you got to show how it changes the character's daily life, like their habits and their worldview. Is that precision that like will connect with the audience. So classic example, Bruce Wayne sees the murder of his parents, but the trauma doesn't just cause grief, it becomes a worldview. The city is broken, evil thrives in chaos, innocence is fragile. It definitely impacts everything about the character. And we see different versions of Batman reinterpret that, but the core wound is always there, influencing his methods, his ethics, and relationships. And number three is use the medium so that you're working in. So whether it's like the mechanics of it, the pacing, the framing, visual metaphors, you want to embody it in the work. So I mentioned Studio Ghibli, and a great example from there is Princess Mononoke, which is one of my favorite ones from there. So we see Prince Ashitaka, who's banished from his village due to a curse. So he loses like home, identity, and the curse physically embodies the ghost. And Hayao Miyazaki links that internal trauma to external conflict, and there's a whole bunch of visual metaphors in there. So it can be a powerful tool because it mirrors like what we feel as humans. And Elio kind of shows, in my opinion, shows how it can be mishandled, but also a chance to learn how to do it better. So taking mental notes with that one. So if you're creating your own story, let us know what you think about the tip. You can get in touch. Yeah, that's the tip for this episode. Tazziii, let's check in with our guests and any news that they've got.
We'd love to know of any upcoming projects or news that you want to share with us, and we'll start with Pinali.
As for comic stuff, the most recent one I did was actually the Origins Against All Odds comic, so that's everyone knows where to find that. It's mayamada. And since then, I've just been working on my costumes, which I make fursuits for the furry community. So you can find pictures of those on my X Twitter account, which is Studio Pinali.
Awesome. Yeah, you've done such a good job on Origins.
I'm glad.
Like, yeah, sometimes you just look at it and I'm like, oh my god. Lao, what about you?
I'm doing nothing with my life. Yeah, so at the moment I'm to be honest, I'm not doing anything wildly creative as I used to at the moment, but yeah, I'm basically knee deep in the tech and digital marketing world at the moment. So no, nothing to share unless you want to have some help with your digital marketing, in which case you can look me up. It's Lao K. Yeah, I think there's only one.
There's only one Lao K.
So yeah, but to be honest, having read so much Isaac Asimov, I am a bit inspired to do something at some point soon. So who knows? Maybe next time I'll have something, a project or something or other to talk about.
Maybe we'll look forward to seeing what the Beyond brings for you.
Watch this space. But yeah, no, thank you to you both for spending some time with us and dissecting this latest Pixar entry. So yeah, always appreciate that for joining. And I do need to get that league table of like guest appearances, but you've got been on a bunch of times. 2026 goal for that. But yeah, hopefully listeners enjoyed this episode of Story X Story. Do make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a future episode. You can also give us a 5-star rating and review because that helps us reach new listeners and fans of story discussion. We're also story creators. You can discover our manga universe online, including the latest title that has been mentioned, Origins Against All Odds, mayamada.com to get that one. And join the Studio 77 Discord because that is where you can connect with us in between episodes and meet others in the growing community. A lot of that community take part in the Do I Look Like a Gamer video game representation campaign, which is our yearly initiative for diversity and inclusion in the video games industry and wider culture. So we do have lots of plans in store. Well, some plans left for this year and then lots of plans for next year. So check out how you can potentially get involved in the campaign either this year or next year. looklikeagamer.com. And as for the podcast, we release new episodes on Thursdays that include video game discussions, interviews with creative practitioners, and deep dives into stories across pop culture. You can always give us a shout directly. Our email address is studio77@mayamada.com, and our website with links to subscribe is mayamada.com/storyxstory. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe. And remember, sometimes we have to email guests, sometimes social media, and sometimes we just summon them and they turn up right on time. So who knew? Take care, everyone.